is to honor the sheer depth of the artistic group of individuals that are singers, songwriters, musicians, producers, composers, managers, executives, publishers. The list goes on. We've always known that we have a great deal of catching up to do to honor all those who deserve to be in the walk. Today's ceremony is reflective of such an effort to honor our past as we induct this group of true Music City legends. All of them are posthumous inductions today. Patsy Cline. Dr. Paul T. Kwame. My old GAC boss man, Ed Hardy. And I say with the greatest pride, John Prine. These individuals best exemplify the vision of the Walk of Fame project, shining a light on the undeniable and diverse talent that's made Nashville the unique city that it is, and it's an honor to recognize their impact. Today's ceremony brings the total number of stars to 97 here at the Walk of Fame since it started over a decade ago. And today, we have a Walk of Fame first, as all our presenters are inductees, previous alums of the Music City Walk of Fame. To get our ceremony started, would you join me please in welcoming James Curley, CEO, Gibson Brands, and the presenting sponsor of the Walk of Fame.
Wow. In 1894, Orville Gibson carved his first mandolin, an instrument that still can be played today. Fast forward about 130 years later, and Gibson couldn't be more proud to be an intricate part of Music City right here. The mission going forward is easy, because for 128 years, Gibson has been synonymous with shaping and inspiring and innovating and supporting artists, famous and maybe soon to be famous, or maybe aren't famous yet. And going forward for the next 128 years and beyond, that's the mission we still have. A couple of years ago, we decided to triple down in Music City. We've expanded our crafteries. Every Gibson electric guitar that you see on stages are made right here in Nashville by the proud craftsmen and craftswomen, right here in Music City. And I was talking to the mayor last year, and I asked him, I said, Mayor, who's like one of the largest employers of, and providers of music here? And there's all sorts of amazing artists and labels and venues. And we figured out right on this stage that it's actually Gibson. More than 1,000 craftsmen and craftswomen and folks for Gibson right here contributing to Music City. And then our guitars go all over the world. But today is not about Gibson. Today is about artists, and it's about individuals who contribute to the music industry, and for their legendary status, they get to be awarded and have a star today. But for me, it's also personal. I grew up in a music family and lived around the world, and the common denominator was a banjo and a guitar, and late at night they would come out, and John Prine would circle on the 33 RPM. Go to my grandparents, and inevitably, Patsy Cline would put on, and the slow dancing would turn into a little fast dancing later on, and I just grew up in that environment. And I asked myself, both personally and professionally at Gibson and in music, who fuels the soul of Music City? Thousands upon thousands of people come here to Nashville to feed their music soul, and they go away and they go, man, I had an amazing experience in Music City. But just take a minute and think about who actually fuels that Music City. It's the artist. It's everyone you see around you here, and we'd like to think that at Gibson, we play a very small but specific role in fueling Music City around the world. So on behalf of Gibson, the entire team, Orville himself, if he's looking down, he's proud of what we're doing, I think. I want to say thank you to Nashville and Music City, and congrats to all the legendary artists and individuals and business folks who are going to get awarded today. Thank you.
And now welcome your mayor, John Cooper.
Well, thank you, Bill, Nashville and welcome to Music City, everybody. This is just one of those events that makes us Music City. It's an honor to be here with you and to some of our very talented residents, Garth Brooks, Cece Winans, Tricia Yearwood, Brenda Lee. Thank you for being part of this. And Butch Spiriton, they don't get thanks all the time. I want to do that today. The Nashville and Convention and Visitors Corporation for their hard work and for creating the Music City Walk of Fame and for organizing today's beautiful ceremony. And a word of thanks to our Metro employees for making this happen. And a shout out to Mayor Berry and to council members O'Connell and Swope for making all this hard work possible. And yes, and over the years now, back in 2006, when the Music City Walk of Fame was created on Nashville's Music Mile, a stretch that connects downtown to Nashville, we are so fortunate to have this in our town and a unique place to recognize and thank all those individuals who've been part of making Music City what it is today. Back to the Fisk Jubilee Singers, the very first inductees when the Walk of Fame opened, the very first. And as you can see, these sidewalk stars tell the story of the diversity of genres thriving here in Nashville and the world-class artists who call Nashville home. And we are here to honor 4 legends posthumously. And one of them was my dear friend, Dr. Paul Kwame, the longtime director of the Fisk Jubilee Singers. Now, he took the musical group to new heights, including the first Grammy and a National Medal of Arts. And the Fisk Jubilee Singers put Nashville on the musical map to becoming Music City. Now, Dr. Kwame in an interview said they used the power and the beauty of their music and the beauty of their singing to win the love of the people. To win the love of the people. And indeed they did, and so do all of you, and so shall all of you. And we will miss him and these legends, John Prine, Patsy Cline, Ed Hardy. And I have to say, as just a quick story about John Prine, considered one of the best and greatest songwriters ever. A very kind of funny Nashville story, that he would come to Nashville on Tuesdays to write songs because he loved to eat meatloaf. And that's the day that some of our lunch spots made their famous meatloaf. Did I say the word Arnold's in that? I guess. And after eating his meatloaf here in Nashville, he'd go back and to record that song. Now that is such a Nashville story, but it's the stories from these talented legends that make the Walk of Fame Park so special, uniquely Nashville. It pays tribute to those who represent the best of Nashville. And we have 16 million visitors coming each year to look in on that. And this site has endured and grown more popular with each new class. And I just want to take the opportunity to encourage all Nashvillians to visit this special space, to soak in the rich heritage of music and culture that's all around us, but that we are privileged to call our very own. Thank you all very much. Let's have a wonderful celebration.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. We'd like to begin the induction portion of our program today with a brief remembrance of one of Nashville's finest, Miss Loretta Lynn. You simply can't speak of Nashville's music history without recognizing Loretta and all she accomplished. Such a trailblazer for so many young country acts, and especially for women in country music. Coal miner's daughter, I'm a honky-tonk girl, Fisk City, who could forget? They helped define country music, and we're honored to induct her into the Walk of Fame back in 2015. And today, we remember her. The weight of her loss is still fresh on our minds and strong, but her songs will endure the test of time, continuing to be an inspiration for artists for decades to come. The first time I ever met her was in historic Studio A at the Grand Ole Opry House. They were taping a Nashville Network special, And Owen Bradley was still alive, and he was the musical director, and Dew was with her. And they listened to my morning show every morning over coffee over in Hurricane Mills. So it was our first time to meet in person. And you know how people would take your face in their hands? And she kissed me on the mouth the first time we ever met. And she looked over at Dew and looked back at me and said, I love you, baby. And he does too, but he won't tell you that. So that was my introduction to Loretta Lynn. And if you would, let's pause for a moment of silence and remember the Blue Kentucky Girl. Thank you. Perhaps one of the best ways to honor Loretta is by inducting one of her dearest friends and mentor, Patsy Cline. Patsy is one of the most celebrated and influential performers of the 20th century. She was a forerunner for women in country music, being among the first to sell records and headline concerts. She's credited with being one of the first country artists to cross over onto the pop charts. She had her first professional performance when she was 15. She sang live on radio. Her vibrant career included country hits that are classics, truly a part of the American musical canon. I Fall to Pieces, Crazy, Walking After Midnight, which ranked in the top of the Billboard charts for both country and pop. And I remember Ray Walker and Billy Walker. Ray, of course, with the Jordanaires, are in the Hall of Fame, saying you knew she was serious in studio when she called you Hoss. She would say, let me tell you something, Hoss. And you knew she was going to lay down the law. She's a member of the Grand Ole Opry, part of the Opry show at Carnegie Hall back in the 60s when we took it to New York City. Her legacy is still celebrated today. In fact, in her hometown, the post office in Winchester, Virginia, was renamed after her just a few weeks ago in recognition of what would have been her 90th birthday. Here to present Patsy Starr is another extraordinary, multiple award-winning female country artist, as well as an actress, author, and television personality. That's right, she does it all, because she's Ms. Yearwood, Trisha Yearwood.
Thank you, Bill. I do feel like I need to start by letting everybody know that I had to fight Brenda Lee to sit next to Garth Brooks, and she won, so I love you. Everything's fine. I am so honored, Julie and the rest of Patsy's family who are here today, to be asked to be a part of this, because I'm one of those girl singers who worships Patsy Cline's voice. And I know for this family, Patsy is much more than a country music icon. She's a mama. But for me and for all the females that followed, there's a power in this voice, which is why Patsy is so deserving to be in every Hall of Fame and on every Walk of Stars in the universe. I was a tour guide at the Country Music Hall of Fame when I first moved to town, and I was terrible because all I wanted to do was watch the Patsy Cline film. It was there was a theater you could go in on the tour and watch her, and she was wearing this dress and this headband because she'd been in a car accident and she was trying to hide the scars. And she just would walk up and they would introduce her and she would fold her hands and she sang Crazy like it was so big and powerful coming out of this woman who seemed like it was effortless for her. And I really did watch that movie every single day that I was supposed to be giving tours. And it was an inspiration, and I always knew that I wanted to sound like that. It might seem strange for you to hear somebody who was born the year after Patsy's passing talk about her so passionately, but I think because of that power, because she was one of the few female artists in the 60s when I was born who was doing this. Patsy and Kitty Wells were the two female artists first ones I ever heard of singing country music as a child. And in the world of music, not just country music, like Bill said, she is one of the most respected, influential vocalists of the 20th century. And I also feel like it's completely appropriate to quote one of Patsy's best friends and biggest fans, Loretta Lynn. Loretta's all over this day. Loretta said, you either have to be first, best, or different. Well, of course, Patsy was all things. She was one of the first women to sell records and headline concerts, and that's when they started to sign more females, right? So if a female can sell tickets and concert tickets and albums, then they go, hey, we should sign a few more girl singers. And she was the first female to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I love that her and her mother, Hilda, made those incredible outfits. You can see them at the Country Music Hall of Fame and also down the street at the Patsy Cline Museum, which I encourage you all to go to. They're amazing with the fringe and everything. And that came back to haunt my mother when I asked her to start making some of my first outfits, and she had never sewn on suede and had never made anything with fringe, but she did. Thank you. That's Patsy and Hilda's fault. But for me, it is the voice. It's the strength. I always just say I'm loud. Patsy had, and her music has, this power and strength, and also this vulnerability. It's hard to have both those things at the same time. I would always pause on those parts in the music where her voice would catch. You know, when you're hearing her listen to Faded Love, and if you haven't, go listen to it right after this. At the very end, you hear her breath, you hear the catch in her voice, and you just want to cry with her. And that's what music is supposed to do. And it's a rare artist that can make you feel that way. When I was lucky enough to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry in 1999, I don't remember much about that night. I remember Porter inducted me, and I remember that I got to sing a Patsy Cline song a cappella on the Circle of Wood. But the thing that I remember most is that Julie, Patsy's daughter, who you'll meet, and Charlie, and my record label came out and presented me with a necklace that had belonged to Patsy. And it was in this case. And I've broken it out once before of the case when I celebrated 20 years at the Grand Ole Opry, and I broke it out today. This was Patsy's necklace, so it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. I'm going to quote Loretta again. I know there's a lot of people that are going to talk today, but I want to talk about what Loretta said about Patsy. Loretta said, when I came along, it was a man's world, and I idolized Kitty Wells and Patsy Cline, the original female trailblazers. Patsy was my hero and inspiration. I'm always grateful and never forget what she did for me, for country music, for all us girls. As time has gone on, I haven't stopped loving Patsy or thinking about her and talking to her even, not for one single day. She changed my life forever. And I love it because I know that Loretta and Patsy are now having that conversation together, and they're both watching this day, and I know nobody's prouder of Patsy than Loretta. So you either have to be first, best, or different. And Patsy was all three wrapped up in one. And she was gone way too soon, but we are so lucky she left us with so much music. And I can't think of a more deserving person to be in every Hall of Fame and on every Walk of Stars. It is my honor to present this plaque commemorating Patsy Cline joining the Music City Walk of Stars to her daughter, Julie Fudge.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Tricia. Isn't she just something? I want to thank you all for being here. It's quite an impressive turnout, and I know that a lot of people are represented here, and I know that a lot of you are here to be here for us today as well. And we are so excited, and we are so thankful for all of you, because it is because of people like you that she is still remembered today. We all love the fact that she carries on amazingly 60 years after she has passed, and that people still know who she is and still know her music, and it's still a very big part of our daily lives. But at the same time, that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the people that remember her. And we're always grateful for that, and we're always thankful for you. And we thank everyone here that chose us to be remembered and to be on the walk here today. And I'm very excited to know that this is down here and that when everybody comes to town and visits this little green space in the middle of this big place, that they're going to see her down here with these other names and they're going to remember her even more. Maybe some of them will come along and ask, who is that? And somebody will tell them. And we really appreciate that. We really recognize all of your remembering and all of the dedication that you put forward in her music and keeping her alive. And it's just really, it's quite impressive, and it's hard to express in words how after 60 years something like this is still possible. I know she would be very thankful.
Julie Fudge. Make your way down to the Star for the unveiling there, Julie. And Julie recently gave us the great honor of coming and sharing in Mandy Barnett's special induction night at the Grand Ole Opry, as Mandy so wonderfully
Stay here for a second. Go ahead, Rachel. Let me know. Okay. Gold. Gold. You're gold. Go. Go ahead, Rachel. Does anyone come in? Anybody else? Ready? Okay.
Daughter Julie Fudge, Patsy Cline star, now in our Music City.
Yes. It's, I don't know, this is a little difficult, isn't it? All right. I'm good, but I don't want to pull you down.
Patsy Cline. Julie Fudge's daughter and extended family there. Our next inductee is Dr. Paul Kwame. Excellent. Dr. Kwame was the first Jubilee singer as a student and served as the director of the famed singers for 28 years up until his passing, which happened just a few weeks ago. He took great pride in leading the singers. As a matter of fact, my memory, if it serves me, they were the first star in the Music City Walk of Fame, this Jubilee Singers. Beyond just directing the incredibly talented group, he felt the responsibility to educate the students on the deep African roots of the songs they were singing, the choral group's rich musical heritage, and its ties to Fisk University and to Nashville. Under his leadership, the Jubilee Singers recorded several albums and appeared on albums with other artists. They created their own album